2 answers. That's what the rule wants from your data collection. Only one is about your classroom. The other one is a calendar question, so losing it costs you half the requirement. There's also one line sitting in the reevaluation rules that turns your scribbled classroom notes into evidence a whole team has to read.
I'm Erica, and paragraph 3 has a pubgraph 1. How the child's progress toward the annual goals will be measured. The half people actually do.
Yeah, we spent a whole episode reading an inherited caseload for what's already owed. Dates, minutes, transfer files. We've been building toward the part where those promises have to show they did something. Nobody is born knowing how to do that.
Lewis here, read the second pubgraph out loud sometime, since it's the one that goes missing. When periodic reports on the progress the child is making toward meeting the annual goals will be provided. That is not a promise about your data so much as a promise about a calendar, and it binds you in October exactly the way it binds you in May.
Put the two halves side by side. One side is how it is measured, your method, and no tool is named anywhere. The other side is when it is reported. A written schedule, quarterly, or with report cards. Both halves, or the paragraph is half answered.
Measurable comes first though. Paragraph A2I asks for measurable annual goals, academic and functional. Take that word seriously and everything downstream gets easier because a goal that says the student will improve behavior can't be measured by anything. The how question in A3 then has nothing to attach itself to. So you end up inventing a measurement in June for a goal that never had a unit in September and that isn't progress monitoring. It's archaeology, done badly and under time pressure by people who genuinely care.
What do we call a goal nobody can measure?
A wish, filed in triplicate. And the district will still ask you to progress monitor it, which is roughly like timing a
Says the man with settled opinions on kettle temperature.
A race nobody started. Yes, the point holds.
Measurable first, then how it gets measured, then when it gets reported. That order, every time.
Let's talk about the packet though, because that's where this goes sideways. Your district handed you something in August with a logo and a revision date and a box for everything. So it felt like the law, since it arrived wearing the same face the law arrives with.
Here's what the section doesn't say. Pick an app. Use this form. Take data daily. Those instructions aren't in Part 300.
Districts add, and they're allowed to. A state or a district can build on top of the federal floor, and plenty of genuinely good practice lives up there. Some of those packets are excellent. The trouble starts when nobody can tell you which lines came from Washington and which lines came from a curriculum office 2 buildings over. What isn't allowed is handing a teacher the packet and calling the floor the
Ceiling. The word you're after is ceiling.
ceiling. It isn't. The federal floor is 2 sentences long, and everything stacked above it is local. Local can be renegotiated.
Our own title then. This is the section itself, free on the Department of Education's IDS site. Read it and see what isn't in there. 2 minutes a day is our method, not federal law. Part 300 never says daily or weekly.
Our routine, not the reg.
Lewis, this next one is the part people get wrong, so put it on the board before we go any further.
I'd rather someone else said it, but fine. If the law never names a tool, what exactly does a teacher owe when the data goes home?
2 halves, and one of them is a calendar. Calendars don't negotiate.
Calendars keep receipts.
Exactly that. And what those 2 minutes actually buy you is stranger than it sounds. Real quick, because this next part matters to you. If any of this is helping, tap that like button, then hit subscribe and ring the bell so the next one finds you. Both are free and take about a second, but they tell the algorithm to show this to one more person who needs it. Before we started, Professor Duran flagged one word in that rule. He flagged one word in that rule, and our whole routine hangs off it. Measured.
Measured is doing that job alone. Measured, not collected. A pile of notes isn't a measurement yet.
2 minutes, 1 goal. Same slot every day. That's our whole routine, and it's ours, not the government's.
Look at a gym membership for a second, because the shape of it is the same shape as this. The membership is the annual goal. The swipe at the door is the data point. The monthly statement is the progress report, and it can only show swipes that happened.
Okay, but what's the swipe when it's my own room and nobody's standing at the door?
Take the honest answer, which is that nobody is standing there at all. Which leaves the turnstile as
Your memory, which I defend, honestly. Teachers know their kids cold.
not memory, the written line. Memory is the one thing a statement can never show you, and it is the first thing that goes when a year gets long.
Use the goal's own unit, words per minute, prompts, minutes on task, trials correct.
The unit isn't cosmetic. Paragraph E31 points straight back at the goals in E2. Different unit, different question. The report ends up answering something the goal never asked.
Okay, so the form is where forget the form. Start with the sentence you already wrote.
Date it. Name the goal. One number in that goal's unit, your initials.
The date is the part people skip, and the date is the exact part that turns a note into evidence somebody else can use.
One number, not three. 3 numbers is a spreadsheet you'll quit by Halloween.
Initials too, because by April you will not remember whose handwriting that was.
A number with no date and no unit proves nothing in June. It's a smudge with confidence.
It's worse than nothing. It looks like data, so nobody goes looking for the real thing.
Watch what a real one looks like when a teacher runs it.
She talks through her routine first, then runs it. Every hand goes up at once, holding a card.
One pass, every student. Call it the daily line.
That works with a full class at once. My worry is 9 goals and no whole class to sweep.
You're right, and that's a real gap. Sharper question then? Which of the 9 needs a number this week?
Cynthia, you take data on your own students every week. How do you actually pick?
The one I'd struggle to defend out loud, never the one that's easiest to count.
Good rule to hand people. I mean people who already have a baseline. If you only hold one thing from this stretch, hold the date.
Look, I still can't get through a school portal that wants a separate login for every screen, so nobody should hand me a productivity trophy. What I trust is that instinct. Pick the goal you could not defend out loud.
The chat just pushed up the one I was going to skip. 9 goals, 1 prep period. Where does the daily line actually go?
On the goal you report on next, work backward from the date you promised.
Next meaning the nearest one, or the one furthest behind.
Furthest behind. Somebody will ask you about that one in the meeting.
Sit beside one kid for 2 minutes and you've produced a description. You've produced the measurement the description promised.
A description, not a product. Nobody has to buy anything.
Pass me the printout a second. This next part is the one people rewind, so take it slowly. Here it is, 305, paragraph A1, roughly the second Fumbracraft. Second, exactly, current classroom-based, local or state assessments, and classroom-based observations.
There it is, the line I promised you up top. Your scribbled notes are named in the reevaluation rules.
Named as existing evaluation data the team reviews at an evaluation or re-evaluation, not as a nice extra somebody might glance at.
The daily line isn't classroom housekeeping then. It's on the record.
Beats a wish in triplicate, anyway.
That's what a good line buys you. Keep that one warm because a flat line sets off something very different. Professor Duran, thank you. That one word measured is going to sit with me for a while.
Seconded, you spared us an argument this room had already had twice, and lost both times.
Then settle one for me once I've gone. If the data says nothing changed, who has to move first?
His question is the whole next stretch. A flat line lands on somebody's desk, so whose desk is it? The team's desk, not yours alone. That is the honest answer to Professor Duran's question, and Part 300 puts it in 2 places. The fear underneath a flat line is always the same one, that somebody is about to decide you failed a child.
2 places. They do different jobs.
Take 300.324, paragraph B12A. The team revises the IEP as appropriate to address any lack of expected progress toward the annual goals.
Picture the room for a second. Same table, same people, and one line of your handwriting sitting in the middle of it.
Revises, not punishes.
Run the second one alongside it. 300.303 paragraph A1. A re-evaluation when the agency determines the child's educational or related services needs warrant 1. That's the same section that lists the existing data the team.
Wrong section. The existing data list lives in 305.
Reviews 305. I was wrong. They sit next to each other on the page and I collapse them every time.
Lewis, if the line comes back flat, does the team have to change the services?
Flat since when though? Flat since the last report, or flat since the goal was written? Those are two different answers.
Since it was written, 9 months of nothing moving.
Then B12A is live, and the team revises as appropriate. Revises, that's the verb the paragraph chose. It doesn't say increase the minutes, it doesn't say change the placement, and it certainly doesn't say the district failed a child. It says look again, with the people who wrote the goal in the first place.
Now the part I'd underlined twice. A flat line starts a review. Part 300 doesn't call it a denial of FAPE, and neither should you. People hear lack of expected progress and their stomach drops. Read the paragraph and it's the opposite.
A review.
Read me the actual line, Cynthia. Not the summary of it, and not the training day paraphrase either.
Revises the IEP as appropriate to address any lack of expected progress toward the annual goals, as appropriate. 2 words carrying a lot of weight.
Hold on. Expected by whom, though? Who sets expected?
The team that wrote the goal, which is the answer people least enjoy.
Okay, Erica, we're 2 exits off the road, and the rest of that answer matters. Expected means what the team wrote on the page, not what anybody privately hoped. Nobody is born knowing the difference between a revision and a verdict.
Can I run the one I keep coming back to, Lewis?
The fluency one, go.
Take a composite, 2nd grader, oral reading fluency goal, baseline somewhere around 40 words a minute. His teacher ran a 1-minute timed read every Friday while the rest of the room did station work. Date, number, initials. That was the entire system.
Every Friday. Nothing else.
Nothing else. By March, the line had been flat for about 9 weeks, 8 or 9, and the shape of it was
Skip ahead. What happened in the meeting?
unmistakable. The meeting had something to argue with. 9 dated points instead of a feeling.
1 minute every Friday bought her a conversation instead of an apology.
Bring it dated, in the goal's own unit, in writing. I've watched this go the other way for most of a career, and the pattern never changes. A teacher walks in certain. She describes a child beautifully. She has nothing anybody else can reread. The room nods, agrees the child is struggling, and then argues about what struggling means until the bell. History's verdict on that meeting is always the same. It ends exactly where it started, and the child waits another quarter.
Lewis, this is where I'd push back on our own method. Put the index card next to a district system. The card wins on one thing: you will actually do it. It's fragile and unshared. The system backs up and graphs, and the team can see it until the week it dies because nobody logs in.
That trade is the real fork, and neither side is free.
Keep whichever one is alive in October. That is the whole test.
Pick by temperament, honestly. If you open the app, open the app. If you know you won't, the index card wins because a card you fill in beats a dashboard you
Licensed for a year and open twice.
open twice. Fair, Erica. Whichever one is still alive in October is your answer.
Here's the ruling then. Habit first, tool second.
Bureaucracies do love a dashboard nobody opens. Every hype cycle produces one, gets an acronym for it, and then quietly stops mentioning it around March.
Tomorrow, while your groups are working, pick one goal and write one line. Date and goal, number and initials. Send this to the teacher down the hall who's drowning in a data packet nobody told her was optional.
Yeah, one line.
If it were me, I'd stay on paper for a month and only move to a system once the habit already exists. Carry this home. 2 required answers, 1 dated line, and a review is not a verdict.
Write the reporting date on the same page while you're there. The calendar half is still the half that goes missing, and it goes missing quietly, which is exactly why nobody notices until a parent asks when the last report went home.
If this made your data folder feel smaller instead of bigger, hit like and subscribe. We keep walking one paragraph of this regulation at a time, and the next one gets easier once you've met the last one. The goal you can't defend is the one that gets reviewed. Which goal on your caseload could you not defend with a single line of data today? Go take 2 minutes tomorrow and be kind to whoever inherits your files. Thanks for spending this one with us.